Hi, classmates. It's very late on Saturday night, but this is the soonest I could get to this assignment. I apologize for the late post. I feel like I am like crawling to the finish line trying to get to graduation on Thursday. I don't know if some of y'all are feeling the burn. State tests coming up this week for us as well. So to get to the assignment, um, we were to pick a quote in each category, tell why it encompasses the article, and then um, tell an approach to the classroom or how you would apply it to your craft is how what I wrote. So the first one was gender. I chose difference between emotional aspects of gifted boys and girls. I did my paper on this, so I'll be presenting that information to you on Monday night. I actually picked a quote from the abstract. It says, results show that there are no difference in the emotional aspects among gifted boys and girls. They both have the same kind of emotions at this level. And that's for ages 13 to 16. Um, I highlighted this. This is actually an article from India. This quote, because we have actually read quite a few times by information that's been reported by Barbara Kerr that boys and girls that are gifted resemble more closely resemble boys that are gifted like in elementary school. So they're less likely to be doing the stereotypical things that elementary school girls do. And that's kind of a mark of giftedness at that age. This research is indicating that it is still a mark of giftedness for girls in the early teens as well. For application to the classroom, I put that this can help avoid stereotypes, and it can keep the teachers should keep from promoting stereotypes. They should stay away from saying things like, shouldn't you be out worrying about boys, not worrying about, chemistry or physics. I also put a question mark that I wonder if this is could be used for identification purposes. The second category is age, and I chose the WAIS-R, an acceptable test for the elderly, opinions of examinees. My quote, I put that examinees who rated the test negatively earn lower scores than those who perceived them positively. On 13 of the 14 WAIS-R variables, and I put attitudes are ageless. So I feel like there was concerns that the test wouldn't be applicable to the elderly, but this research proves that it was. And in the classroom, we can remember that having a positive attitude about your work creates more positive work. The next category was profoundly gifted. I chose the biography of Leta Stetter Hollingworth, written by Anne Klein. I found this probably to be one of the most interesting pieces that we've read this semester. I went back and forth between two quotes. The first one was about how she chose such a diverse population to put into her Speyer school, but the quote that I'm going to read says that the rapid learner curriculum emerging from the Speyer School experiment was the student-centered, thematic, and interdisciplinary series of units entitled The Evolution of Common Things. And I felt like this sounded 21st century to me. And I feel like this woman 100 years ago was trying to do what we're trying to do now, and that is to genuinely give our students what they need where they are so that when they leave, they're successful adults. The article goes on to say that they followed these 50 gifted kids for 40 years past the Speyer experiment, and they were successful adults. Her work seems extraordinarily interesting, and sounds like she had the same heart that all educators have to give their students tools that they actually can use. The next category is profoundly gifted, and I chose a reflection conversation with Marian. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. The intricacies of giftedness. I have taken extra emotional behavioral classes in SPED since I've been a grad student, so this one was really interesting to me. The quote that I highlighted is a response to the question, what do you see as the main emotional needs of gifted children and adolescents? And she responds, one word, understanding, and another word, acceptance. Both are essential to fully integrating with all of society, and many believe that the gifted already have so much and that it's elitist to suggest that more is needed, but this perception is far from reality. And I wrote myth in the margin because I feel like this encompasses sort of some of the myths that we associate with gifted students. And this kind of goes back to these two ways that you can look at them. Either you can see them as they must be good at everything, so they shouldn't have emotional problems, or you see them as sort of the mad genius where the only thing that they're actually good at is whatever their gift is, and that everything else just must be off balance. That beautiful mind sort of personality type, and you have to try to stay away from those stereotypes and from the myths that surround it in your classroom. Last category for week 5 was RTI, which I'm pretty familiar with. The quote that I chose, I highlighted a lot in here. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I agreed with like everything in here. Must be at the end. Yes. It says, moreover, recent meta-analytic studies continue to confirm the superior learning effects of acceleration over enrichment in tandem with grouping the gifted. I agree that the RTI's framework is built around high quality instruction and that it would match the learner's needs if you were doing research-based. If you're following all of the research-based, appropriate instruction, progress monitoring, all of the aspects of RTI, if you applied them to gifted, I think that would fly so well. My overall question for leaving with my peers is from somebody who's not, this is my only gifted class I've ever taken, to peers who have been doing this and you're getting a degree in this. I feel like I've read conflicting information concerning if you have a gifted student, is it better to accelerate the student and let them keep learning higher level things, or is it better to enrich so that they're on the same, not level, but they're learning the same things that their peers are learning. It's just deeper learning. And so this article is openly saying that acceleration is better for gifted students, but I've read other things. So my question to you is, as a gen ed teacher, if I have a student in my classroom, is it better for that student to accelerate or to be enriched? Starting with week 6, we had 2 categories this week. Twice exceptional was the first one, and I chose the science and politics of gifted students with learning disabilities. I thought this was super, super interesting. And once again, I really just highlighted something that went back to myths and stereotypes. It says essentialism is a critical assumption of the gifted and learning disabilities field due to one of the field's central claims, and that is that giftedness and learning disabilities often mask one another. And this claim is known as the masking hypothesis, and it pervades the gifted and the learning disability literature. And so they go on to explain that you can have 2 students that can make the same score on a test, but one student could be average and one student could actually be gifted, and just their learning disability causes their score to be in the average range. And so that kind of made me feel like we need to keep our eyes peeled and look for those markers for giftedness. The last one was the placement options, presidential address by Van Tassel Basca. And my quote for here says, a competing value system rages between standardization, everyone doing the same thing at the same time, and personalization, the recognition of individual differences. And I believe that this kind of hits on a theme that I found myself struggling with in the public school system, and that is, do you differentiate to give everybody what they need, or do you standardize everybody and make them take the same test? So my question that I'm leaving for my peers is, enrichment or acceleration? Which one's better?